Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Antie Joan and Ontie, providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, Antie Joan.
Hi, Auntie.
How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How about your own self?
Oh, just fine, thanks.
You're welcome.
What's been going on in your world?
Well, our super fan Sandy B did it
Superfan
again.
Sandy B, Sandy B, Sandy B.
And she still loves it when you do that. Anyway, she asked me if I wanted to join her for a ceramics class.
Oh,
Now,
fun.
this isn't your standard go to the storefront, pick out your bisque-fired piece and paint it, and then they fire it, and you go home with a mug or plate or something. This was actually at a ceramics artiste studio in Longmont. Anna Balzan, I think her last name is. She's got this studio set up in the back of her yard, and it's quite interesting. So what she did is she gave us sheets, like 11 by 14 size sheets of 1/4-inch clay slabs. It was supposed to be Christmas ornaments theme. So she had cookie cutters. She had all these scripting tools and stamps and rolling pins that you can use to create like embossed, like if you're making cookies, you want the raised stuff. Yeah. I made some little sweaters and a couple trees, a couple reindeer.
Aw.
Anna took pictures with Sandy B's phone. So I've sent those, and maybe you can get a little gander at what I came up with and what Sandy B might have come up with. She's already ahead. She's got her 2025 ornaments already done for next year. So she's ahead of the game. Yeah.
Wow.
I think I'll be lucky if I can find them come Christmas. I'll bring them home in a box and set them somewhere, and then
When do you get to pick them up?
probably week after next.
Okay.
Yeah, Anna's going to fire them, and she's got this class coming up next year she wants to do. I was going to send you an email on this. It's something like The Goddess Within, and it's like a couple-day class. She's going to supply a meal. She's from Venezuela, and she's going to supply a meal. And I guess it's going to be like a conscious sharing thing where, you kind of go inside and think of what would represent the goddess within you. And then with the clay, then you go ahead and then you'll create this goddess. And I thought, that sounds like something maybe Auntie and I could do. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh, and she's got chickens in her backyard. Oh, it was so much fun. And then her little black cat came and visited. It was such a good time.
Nice.
Even if I did have to get up at 7:30 in the morning. Yeah.
Now, was it just the two of you there, or were there other people?
There were 3 other people. Yeah, a couple who also live in Longmont, and then another woman who was visiting Anna and her family. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, was this studio separate from her house, or was this something
Yes.
in her house?
It was separate from her house. She's got like this little outbuilding and actually had heat going, thank goodness. And it was close. It was kind of a closed, confined area, but we survived. We did it.
Well, good. And you
Yeah.
enjoyed it, right?
I did. I did.
Good.
I come to realize I kind of miss the meditative aspect of painting, because what I did is I used the embossing roller on the slabs, and then I cut out like the sweaters, the trees, so these had little texture to them. So then I went in and painted, like there's flowers and dots and things like that. So I went in and painted those, and then I put a glaze over it so that when it gets fired, these colors should be bright and shiny.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't know. People might be getting a little special treat this Christmas.
There you go.
Yeah. So that was my excitement, and it was fun.
I
And I
see.
came home and took a 2.5 hour nap.
There you go.
Mhm, mhm.
Well,
But
good.
but that's not unusual. So what did you do that was exciting?
During the day, we had our mountain trick-or-treating, and how that is done is we have the kids come the Saturday before Halloween, and they come during the day because there's spooky things in the woods at night here in the
Oh
mountains.
yes,
So we do it during
that's
the
true.
daytime. Our neighborhood sponsors a trick-or-treat event, and it's open to the entire Peak to Peak community, which I find I was very nervous about. I had never seen it advertised like that before this year. So I thought for sure I was going to run out of candy. I did not. I ended up bringing the rest of the candy to that Halloween party I went to that night. Still, I mean, good crowd of kids, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
They deck out a kind of like a tractor, and then they're pulling along, a trailer behind them, a big trailer, and they put hay bales on it, and the kids all sit in the back.
Oh,
And so it's a hay ride mixed in with trick or treating because our houses are pretty far apart here.
hmm
Actually, they're not as bad as where I lived in Netherlands, but because I do live in more of a neighborhood, but still, they're pretty. It would be for little kids, that would be a lot of walking. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think the bigger kids probably could do it, but it's more fun to do the hayride. I totally get that.
Hmm.
So we set up our tables at the end of our driveways because some of our driveways can be long. Mine's not terribly long, but still we set up at the end of the driveways. So then the kids don't, they just have to get out of the trailer and come over and get their candy and stuff. And all in all, I have to say most of the kids are really good. There was one or two where I said, take a handful, and they definitely did a little extra, took advantage of the situation. And at that point, like I said, I just didn't know if I was going to have enough candy because I'd never seen them advertise it across the Peak to Peak region before as, everybody's welcome. And I'm like, what now? And I told my neighbor, who is not on any social media, by the way, this got posted. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, well, the kids went to some trick or trunk thing the night before. He's like, so we got their candy as backup if we run out. He's like, I had no idea. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I've never seen it advertised like that before. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And like I said, I definitely had candy left over. But thankfully, I had their Halloween party to go to that night. They have an annual Halloween party, and that's a lot of fun. It's mostly adults with children. There's only like a handful of us that don't actually have children there, but it's still fun to watch them run around. They play games. They have usually about 3 or 4 games that the kids play, and then there's 3 or 4 games that the adults play. Then there's best costume contest and scariest, and I forget. There's like 4 or 5 categories for the costumes. But the coolest thing they had there was this Halloween decoration that looked like a broom on a Roomba. But it was definitely not. I mean, they didn't make it. Somebody bought it for them, but it just but it acts just like a Roomba. It just tools around, and as it hits something, it goes the other way, kind of thing. It plays a little music.
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool. I took a video of it. I thought it was really funny. So I enjoyed that. And my neighbors, they go all out. They were characters from Hocus Pocus. So they had
Wow.
Winnie the Witch was one of their youngest daughter. I forget Sarah Jessica Parker's character's name in the movie. But anyway, their other daughter was that character. And then their mom was the character I actually played years ago, or dressed up as years ago as well. The one that flies around on the vacuum cleaner because she lost her broom or whatever. And then her husband was Billy, the ghost. The zombie that gets they resurrect him to help. It was somebody's boyfriend. I think it was Winifred's boyfriend or something like that. I don't know, but he's very creative, very good at making his costumes and things like that. And he usually wins best costume every year. And I think he probably took himself out of the running this year. It's the only thing I can think of because he did not win it this year for the first time that I've been going to the parties, but he should have because it was really good. So I think he just kind of said, you know what, I'll take myself out of this one.
Did you see that TikTok or video or reel that I sent about people that are putting like gauze and sheets over their drones and flying them around like ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think that's so funny.
I do. I didn't like the one where they were going when the guy was going up the stairs. I thought that was an accident waiting to happen. Personally, I don't like watching people fall. That's not my thing. I don't. Yeah,
Oh.
I'm not a big fan of that because I actually feel it. Like I get a little pain inside when I see
Mm,
that. It looks like it hurts. So,
mm.
but
It's
yes, I
just
did see
it's
that.
it's just neat to see these, well, especially people that think they're macho or, they
Hmm.
got it all together, and then they turn around, they look, and they see this thing flying at them and
Yeah,
scares the poop out of them.
I guess. I guess. So yeah, that was mountain trick or treating. It was a lot of fun.
Well, back to the Halloween theme. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I was up and was walking down the hall, and I happened to look out the window in the front, and it was so foggy out.
Hmm.
I expected, I mean, it would have been perfect for a headless horseman to
Mm.
come trotting up the street. It was really eerie and creepy. But
Hmm.
that also reminds me, usually every Halloween, we have a visit from our own headless horseman
Except
who
last year.
comes. Well, no, he was out last year, but we just didn't see him when he
Mm.
was out. You got to be at the right place at the right time, which I caught him one year when I was just coming home from someplace. And he was up there. He rides a horse and he's got a pumpkin on his head, and he goes up to the grammar school, the elementary school, and the kids just, oh, they love him. I love him. I had to
Hmm.
stop and take pictures and everything. So that's something that we all look forward to out here in,
Nice.
yeah, by North Boulder,
Hmm.
northeast of Boulder.
Very cool.
Very festive. Something else I did notice, I caught a glimpse of, was there's some big fashion changes happening. And if you know me, you know I am a true fashionista. I keep up on the pulse of the fashion industry. I know what's in and what isn't. So I was so happy to see these changes. I'm not going to list them all. Let's see. One of them is, those ripped jeans that everybody, not everybody, people who think they're cool wear, with all the rips and everything on it. Those are going out of style. Thank God, finally.
Mm.
I never did understand those. Why on God's green earth would you pay that kind of money for something that's already ripped up? Anyway. Also, the tight jeans are going out of style.
Mm.
Round tip shoes. Now, I'm not real happy about. The round tip shoes are going out, and they're coming back with the pointy toes. God, I hate those. I mean, I've got big feet to begin with. I don't need any more inches added to my toe size. Size. And let's see. The tight jeans. Oh, the heavily distressed. The color pink is going out too, which that doesn't matter to me so much, but just a FYI. So those are the biggies for me that I'm glad to see going.
Hmm.
I've never seen you in ripped up jeans. Were you a big fan of those back in the day?
I don't typically buy a lot of clothes, so
I don't either.
usually it's what I've got or have had in my closet. I make do mostly.
Did you get rid of a lot of your old work clothes? I mean, you used
All
to
of that
have,
is gone. Yes.
yeah, well, you've invested in retirement.
Divested, I guess, really, because I got rid of stuff.
There's no way in hell you're going back to an office, in other
Not
words.
if I can help it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Never say
Yeah.
never, but that's the goal.
So that's about it. So now it's time for Auntie Joan's fun facts. Auntie Joni's fun facts, fun facts, fun facts. Okay, I've heard several people mention that they have this issue. What they've noticed is when they go shopping and they go into a store like TJ Maxx, Target, the grocery store, they get this sudden urge to go to the bathroom. Well, why does this happen? There's a high percentage of people who have mentioned this. there's something called the gastrocolic reflex. And what that is, it's the body's natural response that occurs after eating, which causes the colon to contract and move food through the digestive system. This reflex makes room for more food by moving the contents of the intestine out of the body and creates the urge to have a bowel movement. Well, what's that got to do with going to the store, huh? Well, funny thing you should ask. They've determined that stress, anxiety, and other emotions can also trigger this effect. So if you get anxious, stressed out, excited about going to whatever store you find this happens in, that may be what's causing this to happen. Now, this was first noticed or spoken about or given a name to back in 1985, I believe, and it was called the Mariko Aoki phenomenon. Mariko Aoki phenomenon. And that's a Japanese expression referring to a sudden urge to defecate that is felt upon entering bookstores. It got this name because a woman named Mariko Aoki described the effect in a magazine article published in 1985. So after that, she sent a letter in mentioning this. I guess the magazine got all kinds of letters back from people that say, yes, this happens to me every time I go into a bookstore. I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go. This caused some research to happen, and possible theories include that they're linking the smell of paper or ink having a laxative effect, or associating reading with performing toilet duties, the posture of browsing, which makes the bowel movement easier, and the psychological hypothesis also arose from the feelings of nervous tension in the face of all the information represented in the bookshelves. Is that theory is supported by certain literary figures. Also, in 1993, Jerry Seinfeld, in his book Sign Language, described the experience and joked that bookstores should include a bathroom for this reason. Okay, I got a lot of this from Wikipedia, and if you read it, I think you'll get a good laugh. Anyway, persons who have experienced this phenomenon all share the same complaint: a sudden awareness of an unbearable defecation urge. This urgency is occurred in the lower abdominal area, shivers across the entire body, facial pallor, cold sweat, greasy sweat, and a bow-legged gait, which I find that hard to believe. If I'm feeling the urge to defecate, I'm gonna walk around with a clenched, tightened. But anyway, they also notice people walking around looking for a bathroom have also been described as wearing a vacant stare. So basically what they're saying is if you find you're going to Target, you're going to the grocery store, you're going to a bookstore, and you get this sudden urge, you're not alone. You have other people out there who are going through the same thing. And it's normal and it's nothing to worry about. Now, I noticed this happened to me years ago in the 90s. Larry and I would go out for dinner, and then we'd go to the Barnes and Noble afterwards just to, look around the bookstore. And I would always have to get out of there quick. We decided that, well, it's probably because I just ate and my body's trying to make more room for the food. I had no idea we were that tuned into our bodies at that time. But anyway, so that's my Auntie Joan fun fact.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing.
You've never felt the urge you've never had the Mariko Aoki phenomenon happen upon you?
I'm sure I have.
Oh, okay.
Just didn't call it that.
So more things you didn't know you didn't need to know, but you can feel good about knowing, because if you do suffer from this, you're not alone. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss what we're watching, and Auntie Joan's got a good one for us. What you got, Auntie Joan?
Do I? The Penguin
Woohoo.
series on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this because I had seen Colin Farrell on The View, and they showed a clip of him playing the Penguin. I couldn't believe it was him. The makeup was so good. And then when they showed clips of him in character, there's just no way you can see Colin Farrell in this character.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. Even his voice, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, the series starts. The Riddler had just destroyed the seawall, the Gotham seawall. So, there was all this destruction and chaos going on. And it takes place, the Penguin is just running a nightclub and a drug called Drops. They're using the nightclub as a dispensary for those two. And anyway, he's got his group, his team that he works with. And he's not a bottom man. He's not a top man. He's not a made man. He's just a mid-level manager in the Falcone crew. So anyway, this series shows him rising from that and trying to take on more and more power. It involves the Falcones versus the Maronis. The first two episodes, I don't know, it was really hard for me. I mean, as much as I loved what they did with Colin Farrell, I just couldn't get into it. It was so dark, not just the attitudes and the script and stuff, but the atmosphere too was so dark. And on my TV, it's hard to see a lot of the background with it being as dark as it is. There was a lot of the killing and all that stuff, which I just, I really don't care. It was pretty violent in the first two episodes. In the third episode, they got into Vic's background story. And that kind of hooked me in because you really could see the relationship between Oswald, also known as Penguin, and Vic, how Oswald would really mentor and take Vic under his arm and almost being like a father figure or a kind uncle figure to Vic. As the show goes on, in the beginning, it's not quite like that, but as the relationship grows, you really see this bond between them, which impresses me. I liked that aspect of it. And then episode 4 is when you get into Sophia's background.
Mm-hmm.
And Sophia is the sister of the Falcone's heir apparent and the daughter of the original head of the Falcone family. He died, the father died, was killed, the brother is killed, and Sophia's trying to take over. And of course, it being such a misogynistic business, the chances of her ever rising to the top are nil. So, and by episode 5, then they start getting into more of the killing stuff again, which, yeah. So I haven't seen 6 yet. Have you seen 6?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, tell me what you think of it. What did you think of? Because I know you asked me a couple times, have you watched it? Have you watched it? So I'm guessing you liked it.
I do like it. I love Colin Farrell and pretty much everything he does. And like you, it's very, you cannot, I try. Some mannerism, some comment, something where I can see Colin Farrell in the character and you just can't. He is completely transformed into the Penguin, which I find very, very cool. And I think, Vic's character is very grounding for the Penguin, even though he's becoming a little bit more, as this series goes on, he's becoming a little bit more like a mobster, but not to the degree, of course, that the Penguin is. So these are all about crime families at this point. I don't know if that's the intent, but that's how it comes across to me. I don't follow any of these Marvel, DC, anythings. So I don't know the true origin story. Maybe this is the true origin story of the Penguin. I have no idea. But to me, they're working for crime families or it's all about the crime families. So I can relate to that because I do like mob movies and things like that. So,
do you?
Yeah. So I kind of helped rope me in, I think. There's there's not a lot of supernatural stuff going on, which is interesting because I thought there would be more of that. And there really isn't. Just that flood that happened from the Riddler, but they didn't, we saw the aftermath. We didn't see it happening. We've seen flashbacks of people witnessing the flood that came through, but
the flood.
I don't honestly know. We saw the aftermath.
Right. That's where it starts.
We're seeing flashbacks from people's memories at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I had seen Colin Farrell go on Seth Meyers, of course, my main man, Seth Meyers. They started talking about Sophia's character a little bit more and how psychologically messed up she is. And I was like, ooh, I could probably get my head around that. So I do like her character. She is vicious, but not from her own doing. And
I was going to say justifiably so.
I don't know if it's justifiable, but it's not of her own doing. She was made to go in this direction. And that's sad. It was a sad story when we got her backstory.
It was.
But I'm interested to see where she continues to take the character. I could do without the drugs being involved. I mean, I guess they have to have something. It's, like I said, it's a mobsterish kind of thing. So I guess I'm interested to see how this all plays out now that they've got their new location as to where they're doing all of this from and all that. And I've seen more, so I don't want to go too far with those comments, but I'm interested to see how that all continues to play out. Because like I said, I really don't know. I know the Penguin character. I know Dan DeVito played that character in a movie back in the day, but I couldn't tell you a thing about this character. I don't really know anything about other than I knew Superman fought him. That's all I got. Or Batman. Batman. Sorry, Batman. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I know about this. So I'm interested to see where this goes in a nutshell. So I'm all in. I do enjoy it. I watch it on a weekly basis. I still don't quite know what day of the week it comes out, and I mess it up all the time. And I'm like, oh, I've got 2 to watch. Cool. And I'll watch them back to back, kind of thing. But I'm up to date right now. But I like it.
Well, I grew to like it. Now, I watched episode 1 and 2 of when they first came out. And like I said, I just couldn't get into it. And then, I said, okay, let's talk about it today on this episode of Pickled Watermelon Rinds. So I went back and watched it again with more intensity. And that's when I picked up, oh, well, yeah, this happened after the Riddler did such and such, which I don't remember. That's how he ended it. I don't remember those movies either.
Yeah,
so
beats me.
Yeah. But at least I can go to Google and see, oh, yeah, that's okay. So that happened. And now this is the result of that. So after watching the first 2 again with more intensity, I liked it more. And I really had to focus on the names and who was who. And I think that was one thing that kind of got me with the first 2 episodes, too, is you're introduced to all these characters. And then I'm trying to keep them straight as to what was the name and, okay, where do they fit in here? And so then seeing it again, I was able to kind of put it all together. And then, like I said, when episode 3 came with Vic's background story, I mean, I like the storylines. I like the more personal stuff rather than, the shoot 'em up action stuff. So I will say, not only did Colin Farrell do an excellent job, but Kristen Milotti, is that her name? Who plays Sophia? Oh my gosh. Oh, she's good too. She's gotten pretty good reviews on that. And then Michael Kelly, who plays Johnny Beatty.
He's in so many things.
He is, and he's perfect for it. He always plays a bad guy. He played the chief of staff in House of Cards. And oh, was he evil in that? So, yeah, he's perfect for that.
He was in that John Krasinski one that you like too. That was on Prime that we talked about last week. I think Jack Ryan or whatever.
Oh, was he? I don't.
He's in so many things.
Yeah, he is.
So many things, and he's always good. So.
And he always plays a bad guy, usually.
Not always, but definitely leans more towards that. Yes.
So I would say watch it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. If you haven't been out there to check it out yet, do so. It's a good binge.
I was going to say, when Oswald and Vic went into the tunnels, I remembered, and I don't know if it was the one Danny DeVito played or if it was way, way, way back with the original Batman TV show in the 60s, where the Penguin did have like a place, a subterranean type place where he lived in a cave, or he was underground.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of remembered that. And what a perfect, I think tying in the mushrooms with that all just kind of works well. I like the idea of using the mushrooms with their associated drug. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I advise people to use mushrooms, but
Well, it's not those mushrooms anyway.
that's right. That's right.
It's a very different drug.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds pretty good. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss commercials we have to talk about. And I got a doozy. This just popped up when I was going through my Facebook feed. And oh my God, I laughed out loud. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to review this one. So I don't know if it's a real commercial out there in the ether or not, or if it's just a Facebook thing. I don't know. I mean, it's for a generic product, not a specific product. But man, so it opens up where there's this son and father grocery shopping. And the son, and I'm bad at ages, Antie Joan, how old do you think that kid is?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay. And the kid takes something off the shelf. If they call them sweeties, I don't know what it is. I think it's cereal. I don't know. Takes it off the shelf and puts it in the cart. And the dad says, no, no, no. And picks it up and puts it back on the shelf. And the kid defiantly looks at him and picks it back up off the shelf and puts it back in the cart. And the dad's like, no. And picks it back up and takes it out again. And the kid goes on to this major temper tantrum, screaming, crying, yelling at the top of his lungs, and he drops to the floor and he's kicking and screaming, and then he gets back up and he's taking stuff off the different shelves in the meat department, and onlookers are, looking. I'm like, oh my God, like what's going on? This is crazy. And they, look to the dad, and dad's just standing there like doesn't know what to do. And the little logo comes across the screen and it says, buy condoms. And I'm like, yeah, what a great commercial. Because I just like, I don't understand when like parents are embarrassed by when, other people notice their children, so they feel like they have to talk calmly to them. And I'm like, I don't care. Look away. Look, don't care. I'm still going to discipline the child. And, I don't, if the child's acting like that, oh my God, like you're going to stop. I'm going to take you out of this. We're going to leave this store. And, and that's it. And if people want to, make faces or whatever, we'll make faces. I could give two shits. But the way they're, and there's another Instagram, I don't know if it's Instagram or Facebook, probably Instagram, Reels about a Gen Z mom explained to her boomer mom, I think.
Get off the law. Get off the law.
Yeah. And just basically that she's, explaining how they say things now from a Gen Z perspective to their children. And it was hysterical. And the Gen X, or it was either Gen X or Boomer. So it was one of our generations. I don't remember which. Basically, it was like, she just didn't understand anything the woman was saying. She's like, oh, because I guess she said something like, I'm proud of you. She's like, no, we don't say that. Oh, you can't say no. So she didn't say that. I don't forget what she said to her.
Can't say
no. Can't say no either, because God forbid you actually, teach a child what yes and no means. But what do I know? Grandmother says to the child, I'm proud of you. And she says, oh, we don't say I'm proud of you, because then that's you projecting on the child. You say, you're proud. And I'm like,
you should be proud of yourself.
Yeah. Okay. It's freaking crazy. It's all ridiculous. Anyway, that tied, and they just made me think of that. It was just so funny that I don't know. I don't envy a single person who has children. So there's that.
Yeah, and we can't even if you have kids, you can't count on them to take care of you when you're old and decrepit. If you're lucky, they'll farm you out someplace, but so many elder people end up being alone even when they do have kids. So one thing that they could have done, because the title of the commercial was what is it?
Most impactful commercial ever
Yes.
made.
You know what I think would have been just as impactful, if not more so, if they showed the commercial with a young man and a pen. You won't understand this, you youngsters, writing out a check to his baby's mama for child support. I think that would cause him to think maybe twice or three times about maybe he should use birth control rather than having to support a child for the rest of his life.
Didn't
make
work
it
for that other guy, that guy that's notorious for having 1,000 children with multiple
Elon
women.
Musk?
No. You know who I'm talking about. He's a
do.
host of a bunch of
I do.
shows.
Oh,
I can't
Yes,
remember
I
his
know who
name.
you
I can
mean.
see him, but I can't.
Yeah, but I don't know. Does he support him? If he supports him, and
he was married to Mariah Carey. You think he's not having to write check? Well, actually, she should
he's
probably be
not still
paying him.
married.
No, I know. That's why I said he was married to Mariah Carey.
Yeah. I didn't hear there was.
Yeah. I forget his name.
Well,
But
if you can support him, and then you've got somebody else that's sending rocket ships up in the air who thinks everybody should be having children and giving them strange names.
Mhm.
And he probably balks at sending child support too. But anyway,
You don't know that. Just made that up.
what? That he balks at sending child
Yeah.
support?
Where did that come from? Like, what do you?
Well, he probably does because
How do you know? Probably.
Well, how do we
does.
know anything?
Right.
I'm not sure how we got here.
I'm not sure how we got to Elon Musk on it. I don't know.
Did I say Elon Musk?
Yeah, you did earlier.
I did?
Yes.
I don't know. I wasn't listening.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, it was a fun commercial. Good times.
It was. All right, Auntie Joan, anything else for our listener today?
No.
All right. Well, then that wraps it for yet another wonderful pickled watermelon rinds episode. This is Auntie signing off.
And Antie Joan saying bye-bye now.
We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.